Overpowered characters are the bread and butter of anime. They bring insane action, moments that make you scream at your screen, and memes that live rent-free in your head. But here's the catch. Being overpowered doesn't automatically make a character good. There's a thin, dangerous line between a character being fun, engaging, and ridiculously powerful, like Saitama from One Punch Man, and them feeling hollow, repetitive, or even boring, like Kirito from Sword Art Online. Let's talk about what separates an overpowered character that keeps us hooked from one that makes us roll our eyes. Saitama is overpowered in the most literal sense. His entire shtick is that he's too strong. This guy doesn't just win, he obliterates. Every fight ends with one punch, and the gap between him and everyone else in his universe is so comically large that it stops being about the fights and becomes about him. The reason Saitama works isn't just because of the absurdity of his strength, but because of how that strength makes him relatable. He's not driven by a tragic backstory or a quest for revenge. He's just a dude who wanted to get strong, and now that he's at the top, he's bored. That's where the genius lies. Saitama's strength is a metaphor for achieving your goals and realizing that the journey, not the destination, is what matters. His overpowered nature flips the traditional power fantasy on its head. You're not rooting for him to win a fight. You're rooting for him to feel something again. His character is built on humor, existentialism, and even satire, in a genre where power escalation often becomes ridiculous. Looking at you, Dragon Ball, Saitama's existence is almost a critique of how meaningless those power levels can feel. He's overpowered, yes, but his story isn't about that. It's about the emotional and social consequences of being too much. Kirito, on the other hand, it is a classic case of what happens when overpowered becomes overdone. He's the quintessential chosen one protagonist, a gamer trapped in a virtual world where he's better than everyone at everything. And at first, it's fun. Who doesn't love seeing a guy dual-wielding swords and slicing through enemies like butter? But then the cracks start to show. Kirito isn't just strong, he's untouchable. He always has the right skill, the perfect strategy, or some unexplained plot armor to save the day. The problem here isn't that he's overpowered, it's that his strength robs the story of tension. You never feel like Kirito is in real danger, and that makes his victories feel hollow. What's worse is that Kirito rarely grows as a character because of his strength. Instead of his power being a tool to explore his personality or moral dilemmas, it's often just there to make him look cool. And let's be real. There's only so much cool you can take before it starts feeling repetitive. By the time he's saving an entire new game world or becoming a literal godlike entity in Alicization, you're not invested anymore. You're just watching because, well, you're already halfway through the show. The core difference between Saitama and Kirito is how their strength interacts with their story. Saitama's power creates tension not in his battles, but in his personal life. His fights are a joke. His struggle is his isolation and existential boredom. Meanwhile, Kirito's power does the opposite. It removes tension. He's so competent that you already know he's going to win, which leaves the fights feeling predictable. In anime, stakes and struggles are what keep us emotionally engaged. Think about why the underdog trope is so popular. We want to see characters earn their victories. Even when they're overpowered, they need something else, a weakness, a personal struggle, or a goal they can't just punch their way through. Saitama struggles with finding meaning in life. That's his battle. Kirito, his biggest struggle is usually just figuring out how to save someone he loves. And even that feels shallow because you know he'll succeed. There's no sense of how will he get out of this because he's always going to get out of it. What makes an overpowered character feel overdone isn't just their strength, it's how that strength impacts their story. If a character's power removes all sense of danger, mystery, or growth, they stop being interesting. Kirito is overdone because his power doesn't challenge him. It just serves as a shortcut to resolve the plot. Saitama, on the other hand, is proof that overpowered characters can be nuanced and compelling. His strength isn't just a trait, it's a narrative device that challenges traditional storytelling. His battles aren't about him, they're about the people around him. We don't watch Saitama to see if he'll win. We watch to see if anyone else will realize how broken he is. The takeaway here is that power alone doesn't make a character interesting. Anime creators can make overpowered protagonists work if they're willing to dig deeper. Give them flaws, emotional depth, or challenges that their strength can't solve. use their power as a way to explore themes or critique tropes. Imagine if Kirito had moments where his strength actually alienated him from others, or if he had to grapple with the morality of being so far above everyone else in his world. Imagine if his power came with real consequences, like Saitama's boredom, or if the story focused on how his strength impacted those around him. Anime needs to stop treating overpowered as a shortcut to cool and start treating it as a way to tell better, richer stories. Overpowered characters are here to stay, and honestly, that's a good thing. They remind us of why we love anime in the first place: the spectacle, the absurdity, and the sheer creativity. But let's not forget that even the strongest characters need to have a heart, and sometimes a little weakness, to make them truly unforgettable.